And what did he do with that? He did what so many of you do, and we've said this before, and it's even part of the timing that we have given to you in the last 3 weeks. You go and you act on it instantly when you're given the information, because that is that knee-jerk reaction that you have with timing. When an authority gives you something and shows you the path, you open the door and try to walk the path, not understanding that maybe, just maybe, that was a precursor of information and a signal for you to stop and wait for a better time, for a time of synchronicity, for a time that you didn't expect. And that has been the lesson of timing. But in my partner's case, it was information. And it wasn't until in 2021 that he realized that this could then be presented. So, dear ones, this is a lesson for you about timing. And I will say it yet again, that information, especially to those who are healers, inventors, or those who are waiting for perhaps something else that would have an enhancement of light on this planet, and I don't mean physical. Something that would happen with consciousness is coming as well. With governments are coming as well. With corporations and how you do business. Conscious capitalism is coming. There may actually be other countries that started before the United States. It's coming. These are things that you don't expect, and they'll happen in the synchronicity of the time as you begin to graduate into more light. Now, what does this mean to you? Kryon, be more specific. Some of you are awakening to new realities, and it's changing your whole life, your whole perspective. And I'll tell you something that happens when you start awakening to a bigger truth. So interesting. You think to yourself, is there a greater purpose for my life? No matter who you are, what you've done for all of your life, whether you're 25 or 65 or 75, what you've done all of your life starts to fade away in importance to how you now feel. So some of you are pushing the envelope, as they say, of what you're supposed to do. What's next for you? What's it about? What are the books perhaps you're supposed to read or write? Or what are the things before you? Healers are starting to become healers, and that's not how you started out. Channelers are starting to become channelers, and that's not how you started out. And so here is my advice to all of those of you personally who are awakening in this new energy. Go slow. Understand that first there is the energy, the love, the aha, the awakening. You awaken from a sleep, and you start to look at that which is around you, which is new. And perhaps you're presented with some ideas or some intuitions. Now that you're here, dear one, the Spirit is saying, look at this. It's beautiful. Try not to have the same knee-jerk reaction my partner did. Say, I love this. Perhaps it's for me. And then wait. Wait until the synchronicities show up to allow those things for you. Go slow. No matter how old you are chronologically, there is time for you to develop all of those things. Truly there is. Because you're going to live longer. Because you've awakened to a grander truth. And that is still another. Something is going to happen in medicine, or what you say is medicine, to allow humanity to live a much longer life. Discoveries that will not be covered up. Things that will be applicable to every single human of every age. It's coming. Dear ones, all of these things I am telling you, and I said before, is about timing. The more light on the planet, the more ahas there will be in all departments. That ought to tell you that I'm right, that the light-dark balance of this planet is where the information is. and it will be given to you as you awaken. This is the love the Spirit has for you, and this planet is starting to awaken. And so it is.
And with that beautiful close to the channel of Kryon, I invite you to open your eyes if you've had your eyes closed. Bring your awareness back into the body. Bring your awareness back into the room. Because in this next part of our program, we are joined by a phenomenal guest. Dr. Robert Young is going to be joining us. And before we go further, I want to just make sure our live feed is working. And Dr. Young, are you there?
I am, thank you, and I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we are delighted that we have someone with your amazing knowledge and wisdom joining us and sharing it with us today. And there may be some who have not heard of you, so we want to just tell everyone about you before we begin our conversation.
And the best way is to let me start by this whole introduction by reading a quotation. And here it is. This is from Neil Solomon. He's MD and he's a PhD, former head of research for Johns Hopkins University. Here's the quote. Dr. Young may be on the threshold of a new biology, whose principle, if proven, could revolutionize the biology and the medicine worlds. Now that is profound, coming from somebody who really understands medicine. Now, Dr. Young is an American author of books relating to alternative medicine and the alkaline diet. This is what he's famous for. He's also a naturopathic practitioner, a nutritionist, and most popular works are known as the pH Miracle series of books.
Now, over the past 2.5 decades, he has been widely recognized as one of the top research scientists in the world. And in that time, he has aided the healing of thousands of people with his revolutionary alkaline diet and lifestyle. And this alkalizing diet and scientific approach is known as the new biology. Throughout his career, his research has been focused at the cellular level. Having a specialty in cellular nutrition, Dr. Young has devoted his life to researching the true causes of disease and subsequently developing the new biology to help people balance their life.
In 1994, Dr. Young discovered the biological transformation of red blood cells into bacteria and bacteria to red blood cells. He has since documented this very clearly and has that transformation for you to see. And it's on YouTube. Now, I stop here to say that if there are any science-minded folks here and listening to this, and nerds like me, you may want to see that. But YouTube has these very long and complex URLs, and you have to search for it. So I have synthesized this into a very simple URL for you to see. And I'll show it on the screen, and I'll tell you what it is for those of you who are just listening. It's Kryon.com/Dr. Young. Kryon.com/Dr.Young. There's a period in that. And that'll take you to this YouTube expression, and you'll get to see this for yourself. And Dr. Young has devoted his career to the discovery of the missing pieces necessary to complete the larger picture of health. Now, let's just stop for a moment. Again, are you ready? He was arrested in January 2014, and the State Department and a lot of others, there was the FBI, the CIA, believe it or not, they were all there, put him out of business and into jail. Now, why would such a thing happen? For those who wish to hear Dr. Young's description of what actually happened, you'll find it here. Now, here is a very long discussion, but profound, and if you really are interested in the truth here, I have synthesized that into a shortcut as well. Kryon.com/testimony. It's easy. Kryon.com/testimony, I put it on the screen, will give you that testimony, what actually happened. I think he healed, in my opinion, here's my opinion, I think he healed a bit too many people with processes that were not acceptable to the mainstream. That's putting it mildly. And that is, we're seeing a little bit of that today as well, folks. But he is a well-known scientist. He's got a great series of books. And the new biology is what we're talking about. And you can find, by the way, his site is drrobertyoung.com. That's without a period. The period is in the .com, but it's drrobertyoung.com. Sir, welcome to our program.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show today. So thank you for having me. It's an honor.
We just want to start at the beginning as much as you want to. Do you want to tell us about the arrest first, and then we'll get that out of the way, and then go to what what we're really looking at?
Well, there was a lot that led up to that particular incident, but the state concentrated their investigation on 2010 to 2013. And in that period of time, we had received over 350 client patients who had been diagnosed with either stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3 cancer. We had, over 83 client patients that came that had been diagnosed with a prognosis of less than a year, most of them less than 6 months. They were terminal cancer patients that had either gone through conventional medicine of chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, or immunotherapy, or they just didn't want to go down that road and they wanted a natural healing approach. And I must say, the reason why we felt comfortable about doing what we were doing, and when I say we, because we had 70 people on our team, and the reason we felt comfortable, because we had nurses there that were licensed, we had a medical doctor that was licensed, and my particular role, as my background in biochemistry and nutrition and naturopathy, was to provide some of these natural approaches and literally find those who could provide services that had certificates or license to be able to do that. Now, what happened? What happened was we were getting a lot of attention, and we had a lot of people come. But out of that 350 plus people, we had a 96% reverse rate in their particular conditions for stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. We had an 80% reverse rate of their terminal conditions on stage 4 metastatic cancer. And I don't know if that is what spurred this thing. Looking at today, I can look back on this saying, programs are developed not to heal, but, the opposite. And I don't even want to use that word today. But it rhymes with heal. It's the opposite of it. But the bottom line is that we were highly successful. We had a very good team, and I was the head of all that, and I take responsibility. What happened is they decided that they came in, and when they came in, I don't believe they had other than a suspicion. They had nothing but a suspicion, but they came in with about 50 officers, helicopters. I mean, just like in the movies, right? So it was one of those. And unfortunately, I wasn't even on the property because they quarantined our whole staff and interviewed every single one of those. And it wasn't until, this was in July of 2013. And it wasn't until January 14 that they decided to arrest me. And they had approximately 26 counts. 13 of those counts were practicing medicine without a license. 12 of them were fraud, and one of them is conspiracy. So a total of 26 counts. They also arrested my medical director, who was licensed to practice medicine in the state of California, with 10 counts of practicing medicine. Get this, he was licensed, practicing medicine without a license. So without a certificate, they say. They don't say without a license, they say without a certificate. And then one of my assistants was also arrested for conspiracy. And we went to pretrial. All of the charges were dropped except for 4 against me. The conspiracy was dropped. most of all the fraud counts except for one or two. And so there was 4 counts of practicing medicine without a license. Well, it was several months. There was a jury trial, and the jury actually deliberated it when it was given to them for close to 30 days. They came back hung 3 times. They couldn't make a decision. Judge said, okay, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Okay, this is over. Okay. So I'm coming into the courtroom thinking it's over. The jury had been, deliberating, and they were asked to come in, and I was shocked. The judge said, "Do you have a verdict?" And he says, "Yes, we do, Judge. On count 1, guilty. On count 2, guilty. On count 3, hung. On count 4, innocent." So what had happened is I ended up, and of course that order may be a little bit different. I'm just going by memory, but I was shocked that they found me guilty on 2 counts of practicing medicine without a license. Now, you have to know the law and understand that there is a law in the state of California that allows you to practice medicine without a license. Okay? And that law is based on, you can look it up, it's SB 577. And it allows you to practice medicine if 1, you do not diagnose, you do not treat by using prescription drugs, and you do not do surgery. Okay? And of course, you do no harm. Well, my convictions gave me 3.7 years, and I had already served 1 month, and we ended up negotiating by my agreement to agree to 2 more counts for 5 months, and I spent in jail. I spent a total of 6 months for doing what? That's the question. For doing what? Are you ready for the what? Okay, this is the what. And this is the real story. Now, I didn't testify, so I didn't tell this story, but I'm telling you, okay? But my crime was I received a call from one of the nurse assistants. I said, "Look, Dr. Ben is not here. I just got a call from the husband of the wife who we attached with an IV. Okay. I can't come over, because I'm going to have to drive down. They want it taken off. Will you go down and unscrew it from the PICC line?" I said, "Now look, I know how to do that. I've gone through phlebotomy school. I know how to put in a PICC line. I know how to take one out. I know how to screw it, take off a PICC line." So I said, "Okay, fine, I'll go down. If you can't come down, I'll go down." So that's what I did. I unscrewed it, took it off. That was it. I got 3.7 years for that. Now, the other conviction was that the nurse called me and said, "Dr. Young, would you come and assist me? I'm having a hard time getting a vein on this patient. Can you help me assist?" And I did assist. And so I was found guilty on that.
That's just an astonishing story. And again, I tell people I would love them to see the rest of the story on Kryon.com/testimony.
Yeah.
And what I want to do now is get into,
As shocking as that is, I mean, we could spend the rest of our time with exploring that, but really what we want to bring you is the amazing information that Dr. Young has discovered. So please share with us.
Thousands of people with this.
Yes.
The new biology and the pH miracle.
Yeah, share with us the new biology.
Well, the new biology is a new way of living, a new way of eating, a new way of thinking, a new way of feeling, a new way of believing. It is to convert the inversion of, over-acidic lifestyle due to, the ingestion of what you eat, toxic food, toxic water, polluted air, exposure to electromagnetic frequencies, electrical fields, magnetic fields, to even your thoughts, so what you feel and what you believe. And I've been asked, what is the pH miracle? And I answer the pH miracle. And of course, pH is an acronym in science that stands for the potential of hydrogen, measuring hydrogen atoms as it relates to a scale, pH scale that goes from 0 to 14. If something is saturated with hydrogen, it's acidic. If it's unsaturated, it's alkaline. And anything over 7, or basically anything that contributes less hydrogen ions and more hydroxyl ions, and that's maybe too much science. But what I'm suggesting here is that the pH miracle, or the pH has a science basis, and the primary hypothesis is when we are in pH balance, which I'm going to change the acronym of pH to perfect health. When we're in pH balance or perfect health, we are in our body fluids, the oceans and rivers and streams, just like the ocean that you're viewing behind me. Specifically, the interstitial fluid has a pH of 8.4, unlike the vascular fluids, which has a pH of 7.365. But these fluids are alkaline, just like the ocean, and identical to the ocean as it relates to one of the largest bodies of water, the largest organ, which is called the interstitium. But pH, so the hypothesis is this, that the pH of the body fluids maintains that alkalinity. So we are alkaline by design, but point 2 is we are acidic, producing chemical waste by function. So our body uses life force energy in the form of electron, but it puts off one of the most known acids, metabolic acids, called lactic acid. That lactic acid, if not properly eliminated, will cause enervation, low energy, irritation, sensitivities, inflammation, induration, ulceration, till it gets to degeneration. These are just stages of what I call the one sickness and one disease. And that's the over-acidification of the blood and then interstitial fluids due to an inversion or a perverted way of living, eating, thinking, feeling, and believing. So the solution to that is very simple. And that's the other part of the hypothesis. In order to remain in perfect balance or perfect health, you must maintain the alkaline design of the body fluids, just as if you were taking care of a saltwater aquarium or your backyard swimming pool. You would manage that through making changes in your lifestyle or following a lifestyle pattern program that would maintain that alkaline state, thus preserving the cellular structures, preserving the cell membranes, preserving the nucleotides or the genetic matter from what? Change, biological breakdown, which then manifests in symptoms of which current medical science calls disease.
I want to know what that means to somebody who said, okay, I'm buying it. What does that mean to me? What can I do to have the pH that is balanced?
Well, just like your temperature, you have to measure it. And you do that when you have a fever, which is nothing more. The body induces a fever is to remove buildup of acidic waste through the second largest organ of the human body, which is the skin, through the pores of the skin. So what it means is you have to measure. If you have a saltwater aquarium, you can't just ignore it. And yet people ignore the swimming pools within our bodies, the bodies of water. And they don't understand that the largest organ of the human body is called the interstitium. I learned about it many years ago when I studied under Marie Blecher in Essen, Germany. It's called the colloidal connective tissue of the shad. What the Americans have now termed this, in the last couple of years as a new organ that they just discovered called the interstitium. This organ I've been studying, and its fluids, which are called the interstitial fluids, I've been studying now for 40 years. And I've published the findings in noted peer-reviewed journals. I presented this information because in that body of water is where health and vitality is found, or sickness and disease is found. So the answer to your question is simple. You have to test the fluids of your body, and your doctor won't do it because they haven't been trained to know how to do it. And I'm not going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. So what is a simple way for you to manage the internal fluids of the body, much like a saltwater aquarium or a swimming pool? You get some pH hydrant paper, and every time you pee, you test the pee. And if your pH is below 8.4, which is the ideal pH, because urine is a product or a waste product of what? The interstitial fluids, not of the blood, but the interstitial fluids, because the blood is always trying to maintain its perfect pH, which is 7.365. So what's varying, like the ocean? Ebbs and tides. There's an acid flood, which happens around 3 a.m. in the morning, and there's an alkaline flood, which happens about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. But you have to test your urine, because your doctor doesn't have the knowledge to do this. I mean, they could do it if they learned it, but they don't study it. They don't understand the biochemistry of it. And it's very important if you want health, because healing of a cell that makes up an organ or gland takes place at 9 pH. And balance is at 8.4, and most people are living in polluted, their cells are swimming in toxic, chemical-laden pollutants and waste, metabolic waste, at between 5.5 and 6.5. And if you know anything about chemistry, and particularly the pH scale, it's a logarithm to the power of 10. And what that means is if you have a pH of 5 and ideal is 8, then you have to look at this to the power of 10. So from 5 to 6 is 10, 6 to 7 is 100. So 10 times 10 is 100. It's exponential. 7 to 8 is what? 10,000. So your pH is off by 10,000 times what is normal. Well, normal is actually 50,000 times at 5, because you're another 0.5, so it's not 100,000, but 50,000 times off from normal. Anybody would be tired, anybody would be sick, and you flux in and out of that. And what's interesting, people don't understand, is what medical science is causing disease is an illusion. There are no diseases. They're only symptoms of the imbalance of the interstitial fluids, which are dis-ease, not disease, which is not understood by medical science because they do not understand this natural phenomenon between cause and effect relationship. And that's the definition of pH miracle, understanding the cause and the effects of that. Fever is not a disease. Influenza is not a disease, is an effect of pollution within your solutions. How do I know that? You just say, I've got a fever, go test your urine. Your urine's going to be in the tens to 50,000 times in an over-acidic state, which medical terms are decompensated acidosis. At high levels, they call it sepsis. It's systemic poisoning, but sepsis is the genesis of sepsis is the result of not managing these fluids. So guess what? You just need to hire 7 new doctors, and they're really simple. You need to hire. I call it the COWS program, COWS. You got to hire Dr. Chlorophyll, Dr. Clay, Dr. Oil, Dr. Oxygen, Dr. Water. Dr. Sunshine, Dr. Salt, and Dr. Sexercise. Those are your new doctors. You know, and when you start testing and managing your internal fluids, guess what will happen? You get well, you get healthy, you get strong. You know,